Welcome back. Today we're reading Mark chapter 5, which is one of the best chapters of writing in the Western canon, and always it's eerie and perplexing and wonderful storytelling, and right at the heart of where the gospel comes from, where Mark comes from. You know what? I'm going to save most of my thoughts until after and just say things if they arise directly from the language. Okay, so let's get started. I suggest that maybe rather than watching the video, you open the page in step and just follow with the text, because it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, let's start. Mark chapter 5. Kai elthon eis to perantes thalasses, and they came to the other side of the sea. Eis to peran, always this phrase. It doesn't even say to the bank or to the other side. Into the country of the Gerasenes, eis ten koran, of the Gerasenes. Well, we'll come back. We'll come back to that. The variants, because obviously Matthew has Gadarenes, and there are quite a lot of texts that have Gergesenes. Kai exalfontaso tu, genitive absolute, and when he got out, ectu ploiu, of the boat, Euthus at once, hopen teasen autoi, there met him Anthropos, a man, en pneumati akathatoi. We often use en for with, having a certain condition. A man with an unclean spirit, from the tombs, ectem mnemeon, which is not a word we see a lot, apart from all the narratives that Jesus, after his death, it's not a word we see a lot. But obviously it's where a person should not be. Hos ten katoikersinaken, who was having his dwelling entois mnemasin, amongst the tombs. Kai ude haluse ukete udes edunato out on their side, and no one could bind him, not with chains, with a chain, haluse. Yes, anymore, yes, uketi. No one could bind him anymore with a chain. Okay, diat or auton, I honestly don't know what that's doing here. I honestly can't say. Our English translation has for this reason, but that's not right. Anyway, Apollocus, oftentimes, pedis, with shackles round the feet, and halusesi, with chains, dedesthai, to be bound, and diaspasthai. Oh right, yeah, I've got it. Yeah. Diator, accusative and infinitive, because of the fact that he had been bound many times with shackles and chains, and diaspasthai, diaspao, tear apart or convulse or burst asunder. From him the chains and the shackles, the chains, and break the shackles, yeah. And no one was strong enough or could subdue him. Yeah, no one could subdue him. So much like we find with Dionysus in the back eye, being bound, and he just keeps breaking out of these bounds. Kai dia pantos noctos kai hemeras, and through all the night and day, entois mneamasin, amongst the tombs, and entois oresin, and in the mountains, he was krasdon. Remember this word that we always see in a context, or usually see in a context of evils, of unclean spirits. He was crying or wailing, and katakoptone, and cutting himself out with stones. So cutting himself with stones and crying out, yeah. And having seen Idon, Jesus, apomacrothen from afar, Edramen, he ran, and prosecunersen auton, and fell down before him. And Craxus again, and crying out, phone megale, with a loud voice, he says, I have a funny feeling that the only time Jesus uses this is in the actual Passion narrative. And this phrase too, phone megale, cried out with a loud voice. Make of that nothing for now. And having cried out with a loud voice, he says, Te emoi kai soi, what have you to do with me? Nice and idiomatic. Jesus, Son of God the Highest. Horkisdo se ton theon me basan nises. Okay, Horkisdo, I adjure you, it's got the word oath, I adjure you by God that you not torment me. It's odd because Horkisdo is usually the word that the exorcist, you can even hear the word in there, that the exorcist uses in order to bind the spirit with the name of God. And here it's very weird. The spirits attempt to adjure Jesus by God, not torment me. Actually, it's me here. Not torment me. For he was saying to him, come out, exelthe, unclean spirit, from the man. Pneuma akathaton, from the man. And Jesus, again, it's very common that we use imperfect where honestly imperfect doesn't make sense. It really needs to be aorist. But we see that a lot. And he was asking him, Te onomasoi, what is your name? And he says to him, Legion is my name because we are many. Yes, we are many. Yes, so he refers to himself both present and plural in this muddled but completely perfect and intuitive way. My name is Legion because we are many. Kai perikale auton, and he was begging him, pola, earnestly, this Bible keeps translating, but literally many times, but he was begging him a lot, in order that he might not, apostello, send them out of the country. It is odd, it's singular, so it seems like it's the man begging, that he might not send them out of the country. I mean, the distinction between the man, always in Mark, the distinction between the person and the spirit is confusing. It's not like modern ideas of exorcism, that the person and the spirit are completely distinct. That's simply not the case here. But yes, and he was earnestly entreating him that he might not send them out of the country. And there was there on the mountain, on the hillside, Aguilera, a herd, koiron, of pigs, a great herd of pigs feeding. And they begged him, saying, "Send us, Pempson Hamas, into the pigs, in order that we might enter into them." Mae betrepsen autois, and he permitted them. And having gone out, exalfonta, the unclean spirits went into the pigs, and hormao, I like that rush in a stampede. Yeah, the herd, kata tu kremnu, down a steep bank, yes, down a cliff into the sea. Around 2000. Host could mean about 2000. It doesn't have to mean even that, 2000. And epiknonto. Remember, pnigo, choke, we saw it with what thorns do, choking the seeds. It doesn't say they drowned. It's not a word I would normally use for drowned, but it's when you can't breathe, and they drowned in the sea. Kai hoi boscontes autus, and those feeding them, so the herdsmen, Ephagon, fled and announced it into the city and into the fields. And they came to see what had happened. Te to gegonos, what had happened. And they come to Jesus, kai akonto proston Jesu. They come to Jesus, and theorusin, and they see ton daimonis dominon, the man who was possessed, kathemenon, sitting, himatismeton, clothed, and sophronunto, in his right mind. He who had, this is a perfect participle, ton eskerkota, he who had the lesion, and they were afraid, this Markian word, and they were afraid. Yes. Actually, Mark didn't tell us that he was naked before. I think Luke does. Luke always covers the bases. But it's certainly implied from this. But what's eerie about this man, who's always been screaming and cutting himself among the tombs, he's now sitting quietly, and he's clothed and in his right mind. I'm sorry about the noise. I don't think I can pause this. Okay. And hoi idontes, those who had seen it, diegesanto autois, described to them post-segenitor, how it happened to the demon-possessed man, and baritone koiron concerning the pigs. And they began, kai erxanto, parakalein, I think to beg him to go away from their regions. Yes, he begged them to go away. Yeah. I think normally 2,000 pigs died. You would think that they would call the police or attempt to get him to remunerate them from the pigs, but it's eerie. They just want him to leave. They just want him to leave. I think it's the only place that anybody wants Jesus to leave. Normally they're thronging to him or they're plotting against him. But these people just want him to leave. Okay. Kai embainon autou, and as he was getting into the boat, parakalei a man, he entreats him, the man who was darmonistes, the man who used to be possessed, entreats him, hina metautu in order that he might be with him. He begged that he might stay with him. And Jesus, presumably, did not permit him, did not allow him a fairkin, but he says to him, go up, eis to oikon, go home, or go to your home, and postus sus, and to your folks or your people, and apengelon, and announce, hosois, announce to them, hossa, what great things the Lord has done for you, and eleesen, how he's had mercy on you. And he went away, and he began to preach or proclaim in the Decapolis what great things hossa epoiesen Jesus did for him. And they all wondered. Everybody was marvelling. Ethalmazdon. This is the most common word for surprise or astonished. They were astonished. But in fact, it's only used in one place in Mark, and it's here. We have lots of words for astonishment and fear in Mark, but the most common one is only used this once, which is kind of interesting. Other keywords to keep an eye on would be apostello, I would say. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a while.